Well, pain. That's really the only word I have to describe this day. March 8th, Hawkeyeville, after the Iowa women suffer an historic defeat against UCLA in the Big Ten championship game. The Iowa men come oh so close on the road against Nebraska to sweeping, so close to sweeping the Huskers, a top 10 program. And yet, in overtime, the Hawkeyes are outscored 14-5. They fall on senior day in Lincoln. Before we get to former Iowa assistant coach Gary Close, we, of course, want to give a special shout-out to our guy, Brad Van Meter. He is selling insurance for State Farm. He's been doing this for decades, since the 20th century, to be exact. Give him a call first thing Monday. He'll get you a great quote, personalized quote, whatever you need for you and your family's needs. His number is 515-256-6480, 515-256-6480. You can visit him online, bradvanmeter.com. That's Brad Van Meter and his State Farm team in Des Moines. This time we want to welcome in former Iowa assistant coach Gary Close to the show. Gary's
Hey, Corey.
Hey, Gary. Gary's in a lot better mood than I am because Gary, the beach, he gets warm weather, although it is sort of warm here in Iowa. But man, March is the greatest time of year if you're a Hawkeye fan, or you're, a college basketball fan. This day is brutal. So if I come across a little gruff, a little bitter, not always the most positive, please understand.
I'll do my best, Corey.
Grace. Yes, please give me a little bit of grace. Where do we start? Let's start it with the positive. Another phenomenal effort against a top 10 team. And this team is playing pretty well right now heading into postseason play. I'll give them that 100%. Losing close games when you have opportunities at marquee victories this late in the year is tough. Really, any time of the year, it's tough. But, it is what it is. Iowa forced overtime tonight. Our play of the game, Big Grove's big play of the game. I think this was a pretty easy one to label. It was Cale Combs' game-tying three-point field goal. And they hadn't been tied since, early first half. And that made it 70-70. And then the Hawkeyes forcing a Hoiberg miss there at the end of regulation. They force overtime, but just, Gary, it felt like they ran out of gas. I know that's a cliche thing to say, and it's an easy thing to say when you come back and then you lose in overtime, but did they run out of gas tonight?
Possibly. I think, I think it was a terrific game. And I think they did some pretty impressive things late to even get it into overtime. I mean, their last four possessions in regulation totaled 30 seconds and either scored or fouled on all of them. And if they don't do that, they don't even have a chance to tie it. So they did some really good things. They had some people step up and play well. They didn't make many plays in overtime, obviously, and lost, to a really good team on senior day. So if there was ever a loss that helped your cause in terms of the NCAA, I think that's it. I don't think you can look at that team and say they don't belong in the tournament. They should be in, and hopefully everybody else will think the same thing.
Unless they can make her, this shouldn't be a shock to anybody, but now that the regular season is over, I'll say what I think everybody should be thinking. I hope that Iowa falls to a 10 seed. To me, it does them no good to be an 8 or a 9. That doesn't mean I want them to bow out in the Big Ten tournament, but I think the worst case scenario is they beat an okay team. They're going to play either Oregon or Maryland Wednesday. They win that game, and for some reason that inches them back up to the 9 line. I think they're better off playing a 7 and then a 2 as opposed to a 1, an 8 and a 1 back to back in the NCAAs. Obviously, you got to take first things first. You're trying to win every game, but I do wonder if these last 2 losses, Gary, they're in right with flying colors. DeCourcy of Fox has them as a 9 before this loss, but to your point, I don't think this loss hurts you at all.
No.
I'm curious to see, like, if the tournament started tomorrow, if those projections are correct, would they slide down to a 10? I guess we'll see. There'll be some projections put out there before conference tournament play starts.
So you're talking you want them to be a 10 seed?
Yeah, I don't want them to be
9. Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, they've been projected as a 9 for the last week, but they've lost 2 straight. But to your point, neither of those losses are bad losses. In fact,
right.
You could argue that they were impressive losses. There's no moral victories, especially this late in the year. But I just wonder now if they go and I'll say this: if they go and lose to Oregon or Maryland, I think they absolutely go to at least 10. And if there's bubble teams winning, I think 9 bubble teams lost yesterday is what I read. But if a bunch of bubble teams start winning during conference tournament play, Iowa will definitely slip down to 10, and I think potentially to an 11. But they're in. I've been saying this for 2 weeks. They're a lock. How big was that shot, though, Gary? I mean, you got to give Kel Crumbs a lot of credit. He has not been a guy that Iowa relies on for big shots, but it wasn't just that play, but that was their last chance after Bennett Stirtz. It was a huge rebound by Fulgaris. Give him credit for the outlet pass out to Combs, and he stepped into it and nailed it.
Huge play by Fulgaris. I mean, most kids would take that up, and he made a smart play, and it's a great time to shoot a 3 because everybody's just jammed in there, and guys are wide open. So really a big-time play and a big-time shot. It's too bad they're not rewarded for it in overtime, but they made so many good plays coming down the stretch to give them a chance. And that's the way the NCAA tournaments are going to be, and even the Big Ten. So, to be in that situation and execute like they did, I think that's a real positive.
We're going to save, I see your super chat, Katie Lee. I promise we'll get to that. That's a little bit more of a big picture question, so we'll get to that here in a little bit. Big thank you to Big Grove Brewery. Of course, they sponsor our coverage here, and they are the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes. Great time to visit one of their awesome locations here in March. Visit biggrove.com to check out their menu and a wide selection of beer options. The Easy Eddie is probably their most popular, but their Citrus Surfer is delicious. Their neighborhood beer is an easy one to drink as well, and much more where that came from. Big Grove Brewery, the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes. All right.
You might need a couple of those Big Grove breweries right now.
Gary, I mean, you probably didn't watch it because you're out there gallivanting across the country, but to lose by 51 in a Big Ten championship game, I mean, it's just...
Yeah, I did not see that. I was shocked when I saw that score.
I mean, my Lord, it's just... yeah. So this sucks. I mean, the highs and lows of today, because there were highs, like Iowa pushing back in this game, only to kind of get its figurative heart ripped out in overtime. That just sucks. Now, I will say this. I was yelling the same thing with a minute to go in this game that I was yelling at Carver a few days ago. I wanted Iowa to go for the win when they were down. I think they were down 2. Am I correct in saying that they were down 2 and didn't get a shot off, right? Boy, I'm confusing my possessions.
I'm a little confused too. You're at the end of regulation.
They had the ball. Yes, they had the ball prior to the shot that tied it. The previous possession, they had the ball down 2. And I don't believe they got a shot off. And once again, unless I'm wrong on that. No, I'm sorry.
Get a shot off?
No,
I got to check that. I'm going to check it real quick.
No, I got it, Gary. It was Cale Combs. He got fouled.
Yeah.
Split free throws.
I swore their last 4 possessions were, I wrote it down, 11 seconds, 6 seconds, 8 seconds, and 6 seconds.
So he drove, got fouled. And I know the analytics.
That's a great play.
I know you're going to say
that's a great
that.
play.
I know. In my mind, though, I'm just like, I just want get out of here. Like, I know that's not the right way of thinking, but I'm just.
Well, when you're down, whatever they were, to tie it is
I know.
unreal. Now, if you're leading the whole game, then maybe you go for the juggler. But in that situation, you want to get the very best shot you get. If you can get it all the way there and get fouled, you got to take that.
No, I know I'm wrong in my thinking. I just I didn't
good
like
you
the
admit
it. I just didn't like the idea of overtime. And I know hindsight's 20/20, but what we saw happen in overtime is the reason why I didn't like overtime. I didn't think they stood a great chance in an extra period. And then, Gary, they had a couple of stops to start overtime. It was 77.
Both teams did.
70
Yeah.
for a while. Both teams had shots. Iowa had 2 possessions where they come up scoreless. And I just felt like those, you tell me I'm wrong, you coached a lot of overtime periods. Those first couple of possessions are huge. And if you can get a lead, Iowa hadn't had a lead really all game. If Iowa could have scored on either one of those possessions, I think it could have been a different 5 minutes.
Yeah, I agree. You want to get momentum as quick as you can because it's it's not a lot of time and it's momentum's big in overtime. So a couple hoops there would have been big.
Let's go to our phone line. We got James hanging out with us tonight. James, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling in.
Me
sir.
first. All right. So I got a big question that I kind of have been wondering.
James, do we have you?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We'll try to get your audio. James, you'll have to go out and try to come back in, and we'll see if we can get your audio back. We cannot hear you. Our phone line's open, 515-635-1601. 515-635-1601. The easier way to join is by StreamYard, which James was trying to do. So I'm sure he'll hop back in here with his audio fixed in just a second. Let's get Doug into the stream. Doug's a every night caller. Have you called in every show this year, Doug, or we're pretty close?
For the last 3 years.
The last 3 years, 4 years. I called in after the Michigan game. I tried to.
He was the only one that called in the Michigan game.
Yeah.
Was he?
From the
I could hear James.
You could hear James.
Mm-hmm.
I could too.
Why did you say that, Gary? What's
you don't want to hear James.
That is totally a StreamYard thing because the fact that I can't hear him and I can hear you guys, that's StreamYard. We'll see.
Yeah, I hear James.
All right. Well, thanks for telling me. Gary was going to let me live in ignorance the rest of the show, but go ahead, Doug. Anything else?
Any chance I get?
Oh, I wanted to bring up something before I start with something more positive before I start with the Nebraska stuff. But because I always do this. Do you remember, Coach? But BJ Charonis, I grew up kind of in Gilbert. I went from 3rd to 6th grade in Gilbert. When I was in 5th grade, BJ Charonis led them to the state championship game. You remember BJ probably quite well, right? Last week you didn't remember a great teamer.
No, I remember BJ.
BJ played the last 4 years with Dr. Tom. He's now the coach at Gilbert, and his son Billy led them to state this year. And for people that don't know, Gilbert's the school district directly north of Ames. So Bloomington Road's the cutoff. So
glad you mentioned that.
It's the rich person school. Like it's
where Sam Hoiberg went there. So maybe you should like him.
My understanding is, most of the athletic department's kids go there.
Yes.
But am I right? Matt Campbell's kids went to Ames?
Yes, I believe so.
Why was that? I'm just curious. Do you know why?
I have no idea. A lot of people prefer Gilbert because it is.
Totally. That's been that way for a long time.
Bad mouth my Ames. Yeah, I had to be an Ames person, not a Gilbert person. Now that says probably more about me. But it's a preference, smaller school. But Gilbert's growing in size. Like I said, everything north of Bloomington. And we don't want to talk about Gilbert, but it's really cool that BJ took Gilbert back to state after 31 years. And I didn't know if you knew that, Coach.
That doesn't surprise me. He's a good coach because he was a really great team player. Remember him, everything. You get a different scout every other day, and he was good. He was good on the scout team.
Doug, I will say when I was waiting to bring you in before the show actually started, I could see you in the queue, and it looked like you had just gotten your heart ripped out.
A little bit.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are you feeling? I mean, what you watched the women's game earlier, and you were at the Michigan game on Wednesday, so you
watched part of the women's game. I turned off for the fourth quarter. I'm gonna try and give them support. I mean, I want to see a Big Ten championship. I also watched wrestling last night, so I don't know how happy of a Hawkeye I am.
It's been a rough weekend. I mean, it's just been a rough weekend. Yeah. It's been a rough Yeah, I mean, obviously the women 1-2 to get there. I shouldn't say that totally, but
Well, and I wrote down, it sucks because Kel Jacobson. We always talk about some weird random guy, and people go, well, "That's not a random guy." Kel Jacobson beat us too with 50. Those
I don't understand why you continue. Let me just go off for a second, Gary. How do you not identify? And why do you continue to allow the same guy to spot up for three? And don't tell me scouting, because you don't give up wide open threes to anybody with a pulse in the corners, correct? Like at some point,
it's risky.
Identify what was happening.
He's not
paying too much attention to
prolific 3-point shooter, but after he made one, I wouldn't let him get any more.
What was happening in the overtime that was breaking down and leaving those corner threes open?
Well, they played pretty good defense for the first few possessions, and then I think they got to scrambling around a little bit, and it just kind of went south quick. But I thought defensively they were good in the beginning, and they were good a lot of the game. Just not for that middle stretch during the overtime.
There was also a stretch in that second half where they couldn't get a stop, Gary.
Yeah.
It just feels like this team. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing because they had that. They turned the ball over like crazy, and yet they're still well coached enough, and they fight hard enough to almost win at Nebraska on Senior Day. It's amazing, like, the way I sum this season up, Gary, and you tell me I'm wrong. They've played 20 conference games now. This team is going to be what this team is. They are average as it relates to skill level and talent. They are well coached, but when you are going up against
Nebraska,
they have more talent than Iowa. Brink Mast, Price Sanford, the Lawrence kid, that they're more talented than Iowa, I think, collectively. I mean, frankly, I think we thought Iowa was going to have more offensive skill talent because we thought Fulgaris would be an every game option, and we thought Haas was going to be a marksman from three. And neither of those things have panned out. I guess what I'm saying is when you don't when you don't have the level of talent or skill, when you're lacking that level of talent and skill, you're going to get this in this league. You're going to beat Nebraska at home some nights, almost beat Michigan, almost beat Nebraska on the road, and then you're going to lose at Maryland. You're going to lose at Penn State. And we called them, the NCAA tournament as a whole is very matchup driven. I think this team is, I've been saying it for a while, this team is going to be even more matchup driven, Gary. They just seem so inconsistent from game to game on offense, inconsistent from game to game on defense, and then even from period to period. They can be really good on defense for a while and then go through that stretch in the second half where they can't get a stop. And if they found a way to come back, it's amazing. But is that how you'd sum up this team? Just like, is the inconsistency, does it come back to you just don't have enough collective talent and shooters around Bennett Stirtz and a big?
Yeah, no, I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah, I don't refute that as much. I think they've overachieved.
I agree.
I think he's done a heck of a job. I think you got a great point guard in Stirtz that if he can get controlled, you're really up against it. And Nebraska did a great job on him today. That's probably the reason why they won. Stirtz has a normal game, they win. And that and the turnovers probably were the difference in the game. And I would put Fred Hoiberg in the same bro. I don't think that's an overly talented Nebraska team either. Now they played together for a long time, and they're well coached, and they really guard, and they got a few that can knock shots down. But to me, he's the Big Ten Coach of the Year. He's not going to get it, but to finish second in this league with that team from where they were, that was just and the games they lost, with a couple exceptions, were.
Why would he not get? Who's going to get it? Who's going to get it?
I think the guy at Michigan will probably get it. You only lose one game.
Well,
I think you're
right. But
you only lose one game, you go undefeated on the road.
But to your point, Michigan's got exponentially, objectively more.
No question. But he also brought some new guys in and made them into a team, and the way they just dominated the league. I think he should get it, but I think he should be close. They had an unbelievable year.
Corey, I wasn't trying to disagree with you about talent, but I don't see Nebraska having a lot of NBA players. I mean, maybe, I don't know, where Mast or.
You don't have to have a bunch of NBA players. You don't have to have a bunch of NBA players to have great college players.
Yes.
Look at Gary's teams, Bo Ryan's teams at Wisconsin. How many of those guys ended up playing in a couple of those Final Four teams? Frank Kaminsky's had an okay career he's not playing in the NBA now, right? But he didn't have a great NBA career. Besides that, Ben Bruss didn't play in the league. Jordan Taylor didn't play in the league. Josh Gosser never played in the league. You go down the list, Gary. Who else am I missing of the great players that played for those?
Nigel just got released, and
Nigel Hayes.
Sam played. Sam's playing in Europe because he's making a ton of money.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, Rink Mass make a lot of money overseas.
No. Michigan has NBA
but
talent.
I tell you, if you're a pro player in Europe and you're playing in a high level league, you're going to be making good money, and you're a pro. Yeah. Even though you're not in the NBA, those guys can play. Our Final Four teams in 14 and 15, they had pros, maybe not NBA pros, but we had a lot of pros that kept playing, and we had some talent. And I think that's probably the reason why we went as far as we did. One of the reasons, other than good assistant coaching.
No matter what, this team has to develop talent either within, has to go to the portal. They have to get better. This team needs to be more talented next year somehow, either by development and going to the portal, or hopefully maybe Thompson and Harris are decent. I have one point about the game. A lot of stupid fouls. I think Banks had 2 or 3 really dumb fouls.
He does that every game. Can I just say that he does that every game? We were complaining about that 3 days ago. That has got to be addressed. And these are dumb fouls, Gary, at dumb times when you're already in foul trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't foul 30 feet from the basket.
Yeah. Well, that was a big difference.
The turnovers, you can't have 19 turnovers. A lot of dumb plays, just period. They did a lot. I mean, if you take away 3 or 4 of those dumb plays, they win this game. What I'm going to end on is a question that we've I don't know, how many shots should Bennett have a game? Because he's
got to get more than 10.
Not 10.
Okay.
Not 10.
I mean, why did he? I mean, is it just why didn't he? I mean, like we keep on wanting him to take over in the last few minutes and be clutch, and today Combs was clutch. Why isn't I don't know. Well, he made those last second 3.
I agree. There hasn't been. Bennett hasn't been clutch this year. Thanks, Doug. Bennett hasn't made shots at the end of games. They haven't really had late game big shots. This is the first overtime game of the year, Gary, but Cale was clutch when it counted tonight.
Yeah, he played a great game. Really good game. Yeah. I think in the case of Stirtz, I don't think you can point to one thing as to why he only got 10 shots. I think Nebraska played real good defense. I didn't see many open looks that he passed up. Maybe a few. So I think Nebraska played really good defense. And I think that's one factor. I think fatigue could possibly be a factor. He's guarding Sanford for a good part of the game, so he's running around off of screens, chasing him, and you just, it takes your legs away. You're playing 45 minutes. I mean, I think that was a factor in him not getting as many shots off. And I like to see him get some shots off the ball. It just seems like all the shots he gets he's having to create, and that takes energy and work. Kind of the way Nebraska had run Sanford off all those screens. I'd like to see him do a little bit of that too, and I think he'd open up some shots for other people too. But he's got to get more than 10 shots. I think that was, along with the free throws, the reason why they lost.
All right, I've had to put several people, not ban them, but put them in a timeout because we're using vulgar language and we're going after people.
No, we can't have that.
Yeah, let's not do that here, folks. I think it's probably the Nebraska-Iowa rivalry and whatnot, but yeah.
Oh, it wasn't to either you or I.
Say it again.
It wasn't sent to either you or I.
No, not this time. Not this time. I've been called some pretty bad words in the last week for some of the things that I've said. Nothing inappropriate. Did you watch, just because I haven't had a chance to talk to you, did you watch the end or did you see the highlights of Miami, Ohio versus Ohio?
Was that the very last game of the year?
Yes.
I saw the shot they almost made. That was it.
Okay. I just was curious if you saw the Miami players immediately go out to the stands and flip the bird to all the fans in the student section.
Oh, yeah, that's not good.
Yeah. Well, I got ripped because I said, hey, I hope this team loses immediately in March. Because
You and Bruce Pearl.
Did he say the same thing?
No, he said they should be in if they don't win their tournament, and the AT was not happy.
Oh yeah, he's gonna get ripped for that. But anyways, we'll get back to that. Let's go to our next caller. We got Trent with us. Trent, I hope you didn't punch a hole in your wall. You've done that before when I was lost games. So welcome.
Really?
Yes.
You're a good drywaller.
Well, I am when it comes to football season, Coach Close. But yeah, no, I just no, I just want to, man. So the season's over, right? I mean, we got the Big Ten tournament, NCAA tournament. They're a lock for the NCAA. I'm not going to dispute that. The only thing I'll say is, and I've said it since the beginning of the year, is, man, until we get some size to compete with these big guys, like, you have to go out and target a legit 6'11" to 7'4" guys that can actually play. Not just space fillers, but you need guys that can play in this league. And that's the reality of it. And guess what? Bennett Stirtz is still going to be a first-round pick. It doesn't matter. Like, he's that good at playing basketball. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, when it comes to pick and roll, like, I mean, he made some sloppy plays tonight. Yeah, he did. But you know what? He's still a top, I don't know, 20 pick probably. Maybe not lottery, but he's a top 20 pick. And if Iowa goes out, loses in the first game of the tournament, I'm really not that upset this year. There's a lot of building to do, and what I will say is this is for what Ben did this year for bringing in a mid-major team, because that's what they are, guys. This was never a Big Ten built roster. It just wasn't.
Well, they don't have
the guys with him that he could.
They have nobody with legitimate Power 4 experience. Literally, they have
100%.
Besides Cooper Koch. They have nobody besides Hazen, and Hazen doesn't play.
Right.
So it is amazing what he's done. It's amazing what Ben has been able to do to get this team to March. And
it is.
Played the analytics to some extent, fine. But they've also won 10 conference games prior to the Big Ten tournament.
For sure.
The league is very good this year.
And look what they did in the non-conference, guys. Like, the win over Patino's big now. Like, that's a huge win. The win against Ole Miss, it's an SEC team. Like, you did more than probably what you were expected to do in your first year. Like, if they bow out in the first round, so be it. I'm not going to be that upset this year.
No, I'm not either. I made the comment during the game. I said, if they lose the first round of the NCAA tournament, the season is still a success. Because my bar heading into the year was, can they make the tournament with a completely overhauled roster? One guy returned, and it was a guy who dealt with an injury all of last year in Cooper Koch. He's a redshirt freshman. Can they figure out a way? And they're doing it. They're going to do it with one of their marquee portal ads being a total non-factor in Hazen. And Fulgaris, I think, not playing up to what a lot of people thought he was going to be offensively. It really is impressive that they've ground their way to 10 wins.
And that's what I'm going to say is, like, I think going into next year, don't build this team around Alvaro. Like, I don't think that's the right way to go. I think you build this team around Cooper, and you give him the pieces he needs to be successful. And the only reason I know Corey, and the only reason I say that
is Cooper. What has Cooper shown that makes you think he's ready for a team to be built around him? Am I missing something?
I just think he's a big shot maker, man. Like, you saw him tonight. You saw him in the past few. Who was it? Ohio State, where he went on. Like, this guy is a legitimate shooter. Like, if he can get his game to where he can drive, finish at the rim, and still present the risk of a three-point shooter like he does, this is an all Big Ten guy, man. Like, he just really is. And I'm just not impressed with Alvaro, man. I just really am not.
Well, I don't. What do you think about that, Gary?
Well, I think I think Cooper's got a chance to be a real good player. Lots going to depend on how much he improves, what he adds to his game, how much stronger he can get. He's had some really impressive moments. You just got to get to be a little more consistent and hopefully take it to another level. I thought Fulgaris played solid all year. Maybe not to the level that people had hoped. I thought he made some great plays today, but he also made some dumb plays with some bad turnovers, probably forcing it a little bit too much. But he's the kind of kid, he could come into one of these tournament games and light it up, and it would not shock me. Now, what year is he?
He's got 1 year left. He's got 1 year.
So he's got a year to develop too. So that's a decent place to start. And then obviously, this day and age with the portal, you don't know what's going to happen, who they're going to get. There's so many examples of teams that had absolutely nothing. And even Michigan got a lot of players that they didn't have before. Illinois, I think Illinois' whole team is brand new. So it could, it can change in a hurry. So that's going to be a big part of the offseason.
Yeah, I'll say this, and Trent, I do respect your opinion wholeheartedly because I don't think it's like that far-fetched. I do disagree, though, because I think Fulgaris, he could, to Gary's point, it wouldn't shock me to see Fulgaris first round of the NCAA, second round of the NCAA, have a huge game. So who's to say having a full off season in this system, this is his first year in the Ben McCollum system, I think a lot of it for him is upstairs. I mean, can I just say, is anybody else noticing that he passes up easy shots around the rim? You guys notice this?
Happens all the time, and he's not the only one.
I don't understand why they do that so much, Gary.
I don't either.
And Fulgaris had one where he caught it near the rim tonight and kicked it out for three, and I swear it was going to be an uncontested layup. Now maybe I go back and see it's not, but that tells me it's up here, or the system has gotten into his head where he's just not yet comfortable with.
They do that a fair amount. I mean, not a fair amount, but I bet it happened 3 or 4 times today with other players too. I was saying, why didn't he shoot that?
I agree.
I think that's part of their offense, to tell you the truth.
But it doesn't work, Gary. It does not work.
Well, if you make the shot, it does, and that is a part of these guys that are playing. Who's playing around them? If you put 4 shooters out on the floor with Ben, you're going to see all kinds of shots for him. But that isn't the case.
That's my point. They don't have enough shooters with this team to pass those shots up. When I see Fulgaris do it, I'm like, what are you doing? And that's where I come back to with this offense. When I watch it, Gary, in general, to me, that's like, wow, they really – I know they turned the ball over today. But in general, it's fun to watch the offense because that ball's popping. But it seems like it never results in much. So many of their shots that they make are still difficult shots. And tonight it was like the ball was popping in the first half, and they just can't hit an open three. Like Cooper couldn't hit one. Isaiah Howard's airball. He's airballed like 2 threes in the last 3 games. Airballed one from the corner today to the right. They just don't have the shooters to pass up open looks at the rim. That's where
I agree. I don't know if anybody does. That's a hard thing to do to get it there.
Yeah.
Take advantage of it.
Trent?
Yeah, no, that's pretty much all I had to say. But yeah, I mean, what a great year for the men, great year for the women. And I'll just say, like I got done telling my mom, the crappy thing about women's college basketball is you've got about 4 teams that are way above everybody else. And I mean, Iowa women had a great year. We'll see what the men do here come March. And as always, go Hawks, man. I'll always have faith.
Thanks, Trent. Appreciate you being here, sir. Always enjoy hearing from you.
Yep.
Yeah, I just I was going to make that comment during the postgame, so I appreciate Trent bringing up Fulgaris, because it just seems like this team, and you're right, Gary, it's not just Alvaro. They just pass up so many good looks, and they don't have enough weapons to do that.
Right. Fulgaris would be a better player if there were more weapons.
Yes. Correct.
And obviously Bennett would too. I mean, and that's why you need somebody out there like Cooper Koch that's a threat. You're going to guard him. Even if he shoots 2 for 10, you're going to guard him. You're not going to give him wide open looks. So that stretches the defense out a little bit more. But in the rest of them, you really don't have to guard on the perimeter. So the cutting and the driving is a little more difficult.
This is crazy, but I just want to read you something real quick. This is from the most recent games. Let me pull up. So we don't have, I'll get the official box score from Iowa today. So Cooper Koch took 12 threes. 12. Okay. Now, I'm not faulting him for that. My point is, I'm looking at 3-point numbers. He took, these are, I'm just going back to kind of towards the end of, actually, let's go back to the last time Iowa played Nebraska, Gary. These are the number of 3-point attempts by Koch. 7 against Nebraska, 10 at Wisconsin, 6 against Ohio State, 7 at Penn State, 4 against Michigan, 12 tonight. Those are crazy numbers, and yet I have no issue with it because they don't have anybody else to take those shots. And he is, to Trent's point, like, he's probably their best 3-point shooter without Hazen on the floor and Stirtz being, being so ball demanding. I mean, do you have an issue with that many 3-point shots going up for Cooper?
Not at all. I don't think he'll take an occasion one where he's maybe too guarded, but no, he's open. He's got to shoot it.
Man, I'm having to ban some Nebraska fans tonight, Gary. That's great. we got some Husker fans making their way into the chat. By the way, almost everybody on that Husker roster looks like they should be working in a salvage yard. Every single one of them. All right. I'm serious. They literally, all of them look, and it starts with rink mast, but I digress. Credit to the Huskers for winning this game. Let's go to our phone line. Thank you for calling Iowa Postgame with Coach Gary Close. Who's on the line?
Can't get my stream right to work. I don't know what's going on with it.
You're good, James.
But first off, I want to ask how you guys are doing, because I know it's been a long day for everybody. So I know it's been rough. I had a little bit better day, obviously, with the UNI win at the start of the day. So my day was a little better, obviously, but it still sucks to lose the way the girls lost. Sucks to definitely lose that way, and it sucks to be so close and lose in the men's game. It makes it frustrating a little bit, but you survive in advance. But the one question I really have is, I've heard some of Ben's like post-game comments and stuff, like in his post-game pressers. And some of it's like they do the scout, but the players aren't following the scout, right? That's what he says and some of the stuff, right? But you're 30 games through, you think that shouldn't be an issue by now, right? Or am I just overthinking it?
I didn't quite catch that. They weren't following the scouting report?
Okay, so against Penn State when they lost, I don't know if he said this in other games, but in some games he says that the scout, like, they don't follow the scout, or like the scout is, he had the scout right, but they're just not following it sometimes. Isn't that an issue if they're not following it after 31 games? Right? And I'm not saying they haven't followed this game. I'm saying sometimes I'm like, I don't know if that's like, obviously Caley probably he was scouting to leave him open once, right? Because he doesn't have a lot of threes. But after that, like, shouldn't you, like, I don't know if he's not telling them to go guard him and they're just not doing it, because he's like, we have a scout and they're not following it sometimes.
Well, I guarantee you that kid, the lefty that made the 2 threes, was not in the scouting report as a 3-point shooter.
Yeah, that's
He made one.
No, you give him one.
So I don't give him another one. I just don't like giving him threes, no matter who it is. But I as far as not following the report, it kind of depends upon what it is, because the game is so quick that you can, and the last thing you want to do is give people too much information. It just slows them down. But
yeah,
you're going to make mistakes. That's just the nature of the game, and mistakes are going to be made. You want to be well prepared. You want to. I mean, Purdue plays yesterday against Wisconsin, gives up 18 made threes. Now, you don't think that was in the scouting report? And it just didn't get done for whatever reason. So it's easier said than done. Now, if somebody's just flat out missing something because that's just obvious, then that is a problem, especially this late in the year. But I think you got to realize it's a game of mistakes, and if you can make less than the other team, you're gonna have a better chance to win.
I didn't think the officiating was why Iowa lost, but I didn't think it was great. And one of those 3-point fouls I did not agree with. When you shoot, and I understand you got to allow a guy space to come down, but the one where, was it Banks or was it someone else, Sage maybe? I think it was Sage. He closes out, and the Buchangelin kicks his feet out enough to where he steps on Sage. isn't Sage entitled to some space? If you kick out forward, that shouldn't be a foul on a 3-point shot, correct, Gary?
Not if you significantly kick out, no. But you got to be smarter. You can't even be close enough to even let that happen. I mean, that's a good example of a dumb play that's just spur of the moment that maybe or not, maybe didn't even foul them, but those are going to happen. You try to limit them, but it's college basketball and mistakes are going to be made. You just got to learn by them and then move on.
Anything else, James?
Yeah, and obviously my more thing on the scouting report was more Bang calling them out. I never heard a coach be like, they didn't follow the scouting report the right way, and that's kind of what we lost. Like against Penn State, he kind of said that, and I just never heard a coach say that. So I kind of was more like, that's kind of interesting to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree.
On the aspect of this game, you were down 10. You could have done. You didn't let them dig too far of a hole way. You were still fought enough to send it to overtime, right? And obviously, there's no moral victories, but for you to even fight that, you could have just laid down when it was 10, right? They could have just laid down and just been like, oh, we know we're a 9 seed going into the Big Ten tournament, right? We know we're probably a lock into the NCAA tournament, right? They could have just laid down, but they didn't, right? And I get the offense didn't look good, the Spurs of the defense didn't look good, right? But for them not to lay down is something that I look at as like, you could have laid down there because you know your fate right now. You kind of know your destiny right now. It's like, you know you're a 9 seed, you know you're in the NCAA tournament, and you just didn't lay down, you still fought back.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, absolutely.
Yep,
they did
I do
fight
too.
back. And they played two of the best teams in the league, two of the best teams in the country this week. And they're playing good basketball, Gary, but there are still things to clean up. And I'm just to the point where, like I said earlier, I'm not saying things can't be fixed, but at some point you see these roller coaster patterns, and I'm like, I just don't know if we can count on anything consistent from here on
Well,
out.
their margin of error is small.
Yeah.
You look at a team like Michigan, it's a lot bigger. That Michigan has 16 turnovers in the first half in the Iowa game. 16 turnovers. You think they're out of it. And they only have 2 in the second half, but they were good enough that they could overcome really a horrendous first half and not be so far behind that they couldn't make a run on the second, which is what they did. It came right down to the end. But Iowa doesn't have that. They don't have a wide range. They've got to play, I wouldn't say perfect, but near perfect if they're going to beat teams like Nebraska on their court. And they did a lot of really, really good things. Just a few things that weren't good were enough to, lose to a team in overtime.
Yep. And one more thing before I get off. Between the two, who would you rather play in the second or whatever round technically Iowa is considered in the Big Ten tournament?
I would rather
Oregon or Maryland.
I would rather play the team that Iowa didn't lose to, because Maryland has a really Maryland has a really quick guard Iowa had problems with. Iowa played pretty well at Oregon, my recollection. Gary, you've probably watched those teams a little bit more.
Yeah, I tell you, Maryland is. Maryland was
almost won today
bad against Wisconsin. Today, they probably could have won that game. I mean, they're playing a team that has to win that game.
Yeah,
Illinois has to win that game to have a triple bye, and they dang near blew it. So Maryland's pretty athletic, and that kid, that lefty, he can score a lot of points. I don't know if Oregon's got a player like that.
Yeah, I would rather play Oregon, James.
I think I would too.
It'll be interesting to see. I'll let you guys go, and it'll be interesting to see kind of the seeding the women get, and obviously what we do in the tournament. Obviously, I kind of agree with you, and I think Tennessee's better, but also I don't want to root for them ever to lose, right? So it's kind of a two-sided street, right? So, but you take it, and I'll let you guys get to the next calls.
Okay, James. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you calling in. All right, quick look at the box score. This is in from Iowa. Official look at the final box. So 75-84, the loss. 48% from the field for the Hawks. Shot 37% from 3. You can live with that, right? 11 makes. More attempts than you typically see from an Iowa team, but when Cooper's jacking up 12, wow. You'd like that free throw number to be a little bit better. Boy, Gary, I hate to say this. I know maybe the game plays out differently, but let's see. Combs missed one early. I think Stirtz missed one early. They ended up 10 of 15 from the line. You could argue mathematically they make one of those, they win this game.
Right.
But Yeah, so free throw shooting, and they didn't get to the line nearly as much as Nebraska did. Iowa continues to be hampered by the bonus. They get, they allow teams to get into the bonus way too early, especially in that second half. And Nebraska got to the line 27 times tonight. And by the way, they were 10 of 27 from three and shot 50% overall from the field. Pretty even in other numbers, pretty even on bench points, second chance points, paint points, and turnovers. Nebraska bettered Iowa 19-12 was the final count there. Anything?
Yeah, I thought the turnovers, that and Stirtz only getting 10 shots I mentioned were the two reasons they lost. A lot of I don't know, did they have points off of turnovers? Because a lot of those turnovers are bad.
It was pretty close, actually. Points off turnovers 11-7, actually, in favor of Iowa.
It wasn't a huge difference. Well, I mean, Nebraska had some bad turnovers too, but a tie game, 4 points is big.
Those are still possessions.
It's not only the points that you're giving them, but then it's the points you're not getting. So it's a double whammy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So here are some stats to mull over. Cooper Koch made 6 field goals. They were all from three. 12 of his 13 field goal tries were from beyond the 3-point arc. Is that what he's become here, Gary? Is that just his role on this year's team?
I think it's pretty much his role in this year's team. I think it'd be great if he could add an inside game to go along with that. He's shown it in spurts, but that's not a strength now. So you want to go to the player's strengths, and his is catch and shoot.
And
the only taking 1 2-point shot is the reason why he doesn't shoot any free throws.
Felt like Cam Mannion really struggled tonight. Ended up with only 15 minutes.
Yeah, I agree.
What did you see from him? Because I thought he played phenomenally well against Michigan.
Yeah, I think the more and more I watch, I think Coach goes with a lot of gut feelings of who's playing well and who's not. And he obviously thought that Fulgaris and Howard and Sage were, well, not Sage, but I'd say Howard and Fulgaris were playing better than he was, and got the minutes along with Banks. What was the deal with Banks?
I have no idea. Somebody asked that question. Assuming it was health related, I'm assuming it wasn't discipline. Let's hope it's not disciplinary. I mean, he didn't even. Did he come out of the game after he? I mean, he played 26 minutes. It felt like he didn't come out of the game.
He looked fine.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah. He's been battling an ankle, but you would think that if he's going to play 26 minutes, they wouldn't take him out of the starting lineup. So
if you look at somebody like Cooper Koch and you want him to become a better player and take the next step, you tell him, well, look, you only got 1 2-point shot. That resulted in no free throws. You got to get better there. Drawing fouls, so on and so forth. And then he has no offensive rebounds. Now, if you're standing out shooting threes all day long, it's going to be harder for you to get an offensive rebound because you got a long way to go. And so him shooting 12 of his 13 shots from three kill his free throws attempted and kill his offensive rebound. And that's an area where he could really get a lot better. And if he becomes a player that can drive it, draw fouls, or becomes a player that can post up and has some post moves he feels comfortable with, that can draw fouls, he'll get more rebounds. And all of a sudden he's well into double figures, and he's taking the next step.
Cooper tied Combs as far as team leaders in points. Both finished with 18. Combs was 7 of 14 from the field, 2 of 5 from three. In fact, he's our from the Hawkeye of the Storm player of the game. Also added 5 rebounds. Did have 5 turnovers, along with 3 assists.
I think that's the reason why Mannion didn't play as much either. He had 4 turnovers in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So I think he probably felt he was just not right.
And Stirtz finished with 11 points, 4 of 10 shooting. And I'd say the same thing about Bennett. I mean, we're being critical. 4 of 10 from the field, but 7 of those attempts were from 3. Like, he's got to drive the ball. I know it's easier said than done.
Well, he's 2 from 3 from 2.
Yeah.
I mean, he's effective doing that.
So why didn't he get in the lane more? Why didn't he?
Well, we kind of talked about it. It's very similar to why he didn't get more than 10 shots. You got to give some credit to Nebraska. They're a really good team, defensive team. They're not overly quick, overly big, but they're very rarely out of position. And when you play Iowa, you can play off people. And so you play off of their bigs to cut the driving lanes down for a guy like Stirtz, which they did. So I think that had a good part to do with it. And I think fatigue possibly. You're gonna settle for jump shots rather than taking the ball to hoop if you're a little bit tired. And he doesn't look tired, so I get it, and I get it that putting somebody else in is not worth what he may lack. His numbers could be even better if he had got a chance to rest. We've talked about that. Maybe it still would be worse than having somebody else play his minutes. But you play 45 minutes and you guard Sanford, I think your offense is going to suffer a little bit.
True.
Even a guy like him, who's obviously in phenomenal shape, has been doing this for a long time, so he knows how to play 45 minutes and get his rest where he can. There's nobody that does it better. But it'd be interesting to me to see with another team and other players, if he played 35 minutes, 32 minutes, would his numbers be even better than they are at 40? More minutes doesn't necessarily mean better numbers.
And it'll be interesting to see what he does at the NBA level. And I'm sure scouts are having those types of conversations. He's playing 40, 45 minutes a game, and he's this effective. What can we do if he gets even 15 minutes as a backup point guard in the league? So those will be interesting storylines to follow.
Yeah, I think he's got a bright future. He's a great passer. He made some great passes today. That are innate. It's not something you can teach. He just has a feel.
T. Hink in the chat says that Tavion Banks didn't start due to a team violation. So apparently that's the report out there.
That's what I kind of figured.
And you don't want that this late in the year, Gary.
Not when you lose by one. Not when you lose by one more point, it might have won you the game.
Well,
but I think he got the message because he played well when he played. 7 rebounds in 26 minutes. He missed one shot. Got to the free throw line. In fact, he shot the most free throws other than Combs. So hopefully just the alarm didn't go off or something like that.
Yeah, you get in the kid's face and say, look, you are our most effective player when you were in there, but we need you to be in there and not doing whatever caused the team violation. So we got a super chat coming in from Hawkeye Doug. Alvaro will make the same jump as Philip Rebracha did from year 1 to year 2. If that happens, then sky's the limit. Look at Rink Mast. He made a big jump.
Oh, big jump.
And then again, going from a very similar level, I just think I'm not saying you build the team around him. We'll see what they can attract as far as the portal at point guard, because that's going to be a big need. I don't think Cale Combs is necessarily a starting point guard.
Is Mast back?
Is Mast back? I don't believe so. No, he was doing the heart.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, he's got work to do in the portal.
Oh, Hoiberg. You're talking about Hoiberg. Yeah. I was talking about Ben, but they both have work to do in the portal. Yeah, for sure. And
fans won't like it, but I really like watching Nebraska play. They like Iowa. I said about they really overachieve. They won 25 games with that team in that league. It's a really good example of playing together. The sum of the parts is better than the individual players. They're just a good team, and that's always fun to watch.
We were talking about your Wisconsin teams that found a way to win without a bunch of NBA guys. Sam Decker's another one. He had a cup of coffee in the league, but didn't stick. Did you coach Bronson Koenig, or was he right after you?
Yeah, I coached him 3 of the 4 years.
There's another, great college basketball player, but so you don't necessarily have to have NBA talent everywhere. You got to be well coached. You got to play good defense. You got to rebound the ball. You have high level energy, practice on game day. So I think a lot of those things are happening for this Iowa team. I
do too.
Cohesion and talent is just maybe a notch below what you would hope for a team that's trying to make a second or let alone a third.
It's 1 year.
Yes, it's year 1.
The culture needs to be, and I think bringing all those guys from Drake made it quicker because that part is they've been through it. So I think it really helped him. Now he's got work to do, like a lot of coaches, of replenishing the coffers.
Brian Long, thank you for the super chat here. He says, thanks for doing the show. All good things to come in the future. It took Hoiberg 5-6 years to get to this point. We beat them once, and OT on senior day. This is just year 1. Go Hawks. Absolutely. Thank you, Brian. Appreciate that super chat. Good stuff. And Katie Lee says, Coach talks about becoming an elite team. What will it take to get there? Good question.
Elite players.
Elite players.
You need talent. You need talent. And this team's got some talent. And obviously you need good coaching and you need good character. And I think they've got that. I think they've got good character. I think they got good coaching. They just need a little more talent. You look at Michigan, you look at Illinois, they need a little bit more talent. And with people leaving, that's going to be a challenge. There's no question about it. But I think that's the beauty of this team, that what they have accomplished with what they have is pretty impressive in a league. I think this is the best the Big Ten has been in a few years. There's some real talent in this league. Now, they got to do it in the NCAA tournament, but I think the Big Ten will do well in the tournament. I'll be surprised if they don't, and that's the true evaluation. But a really very competitive, talented league, and they held their own.
Katie Lee reminding everybody to hit the like button. Please give us a 5-star review if you're listening on Amazon, Apple, or on Spotify. Please give us a 5-star positive review. Please hit the like button if you're here on YouTube. We got, let's see.
Can we get a 6-star?
Well, this show is just
five's the limit.
Well, it may be a limit for those platforms, but we can create a 6-star if we're good enough, Gary.
That's okay. 5's good.
If Jess were here, there'd probably be a 6-star available.
3.
3-star. Give us a 3-star rating. No, don't do that, folks. Please. Okay, so a couple of quick fire, and then we'll wind this show down. And we got a caller. We have one caller on hold. Amanda says, thoughts and prayers for Fred's pacemaker with all the cell phones present. I giggled at this because no comment, but I'm good to know that he's doing okay. Angry Dom is here today. I saw that, Angry Dom. So he's frustrated. He wanted to know, how is Iowa a tournament team? Well, Dom, the people that study this stuff say that Iowa has one of the best resumes, or whatever. How many at-large teams are there, Gary? You remind me.
Oh, I don't know.
30-some?
30-something, yeah.
So they have probably a top 40 resume in the country, Dom. That's how. Whether you agree with it or not, the experts believe that, whether you agree with it or not. Zeke Bones, this is a strange comment. Alvaro had better not be back next year. He's a 3-year player, but shrinks in big moments. Again, we talked about it. I think he's going to be back, and he's going to be really good. It is frustrating. But to Gary's point, we still got the most important part of this season is still in front of us. So let's see what he does in Chicago. Let's see what he does in the NCAAs. And this team could really use his offense. Go Johnny 100. Iowa played great, never gave up. Fans should be proud. I'm happy Nebraska got the win, but Iowa gave us all we wanted. Iowa should be a 7 seed in the regardless of Big Ten tournament. They won't be a 7 seed unless they make a run. No. I just wish they were top 8 so they didn't have to play Wednesday. I wasn't even thinking they had to play Wednesday. I thought, they're safe, but I don't follow the double bye crap. And now with 18 teams in the league, you got to, you finish top half of the league, and yet you're still playing Wednesday.
Yeah. So, 5 games you got to win.
And Bob is a premium member. Thank you, Bob. He reminds us Nate Biddle did not play when Iowa faced Oregon. And is he playing now, Gary?
Who's that? Oh, Oregon? Yeah, he is. And he does
good.
Add a lot to him.
He's really good.
He's our best player.
That's a factor. Doug says, who makes the biggest jump next year? Cooper, Tate, Isaiah, or Kale?
Good question.
I would probably go Cooper because it's year 3. Tate, I don't know, Gary. I'm not a developer of talent like you were, but year 3, I think Tate's probably got the most upside, but Cooper in year 3 is probably poised for that.
Yeah. Some guys have it, some guys don't, in terms of putting in the time and not being one that you got to drag into the gym. You want somebody there all the time, like Jess. And that's why Jess was the player he was.
Steeler Chick, the seniors would be Hazen, Stirtz, and Banks if Banks doesn't get an extra year of eligibility, which is possible given the situation with junior college players. There's some football. Ben talked about this week. There are some football litigations happening right now that could potentially open up an opportunity for him to.
That'd be nice.
Yes, it would be. be huge. So, all right, JSE reminding everybody to hit the like button. Thank you for that. And our last question before we get to our last caller, FBI Hawk says, what will Trey Thompson's role be next year? Great question. And they have the redhead coming in as well. He's a promising young guy, but he's a high school prospect. Thompson is going to be a redshirt freshman next year, Gary, not like Cooper, who got a medical redshirt but played a little last year. I know you haven't seen Trey Thompson play. When I watched him for 15 minutes in, what would that have been, like October? We got to watch him as part of media day. I was really impressed. He's bouncy. He's long. He's athletic. For some reason, they didn't think he was ready. They needed a year. He needed a year. He reclassed up, so he's going to be a young redshirt freshman.
That might have been the reason.
Well, but my question to you is, first of all, is that normal to reclass if you're not going to play right away?
Well, that's a good question. And the other thing is, this day and age, you just don't know if they're going to be around. It'd be hard to redshirt them and then they go somewhere else. But hopefully that won't happen. But I don't think you see as many people redshirting because of that. But that sounds like a real good prospect. Is he? Yeah. What position is he? Is he inside guy, guard? What is he?
He's a 4. Yeah, he's a 4.
Oh,
he's 6.
That's surprising that they decided so quickly, but they have their reasons.
Yeah, I'm looking at his resume. What was interesting is I talked to him at Media Day, and I'll have to flash back on that interview at some point.
Where's he from?
He's from Tennessee, and he was number 59 overall in the class and number 2 in Tennessee, according to On3. What's interesting is he's 6'8". He's listed at 220, and when I talked to him, he had, I believe he told me, don't quote me on this, but I believe after Iowa offered him a scholarship as a 2025 prospect as opposed to 26, they offered him an opportunity to reclassify. I believe he said Purdue also offered that, and he had an opportunity to go to Kansas. I think he had a Kansas visit scheduled. So he had some powerhouses that wanted him. But I was a little surprised they redshirted. And I guess my follow-up, Gary, without having seen him play, I know it's hard to answer this question, but in your recollection of guys that redshirted year one, I believe Jared Utoff would be an example of that, right? Didn't he redshirt?
Didn't do nothing but help you.
So my question is, what should the expectations be for a redshirt freshman that has not played, as opposed to a true freshman?
Has he practiced all year long? And
as far as I'm aware, he's not been hurt. As far as I'm aware,
yeah. I
could be wrong.
Well, that's good. No, I think most people will tell you, and hopefully he'll play his 4 years after he's done. He's obviously going to be a much better player his senior year than he would have been this year. And that's if you're not going to get significant minutes or be a significant role, then, and if you feel like you can keep him for 4 years, then that's a good move. And he very well could be one of their better players, but they weren't sure he was going to get enough minutes to waste a year, so to speak. And maybe he can really hop in there and make it. Look at the freshman from Illinois. Where would they be?
Yeah,
without that kid.
True.
And this guy's obviously had a year to practice before he even plays. So sounds like he's coming in with some pretty good credentials. So that's exciting.
So they reclassified the kid. He came in 25.
Well, maybe he wanted to do it. Maybe he wanted. That was a big part of the deal. So sure, you can do it. If we can get you, yeah, you can come whenever you want. I
just wondered, like, okay, they reclassify him. Was he under the impression I'm going to get to play right away? Because you almost think, like, what's the point of reclassifying? But there is something to be said for, like, he reclassed and didn't get to develop his senior year in high school. He got to develop as a college basketball player. Mm-hmm. So he's a 26 prospect in a sense, but he got his last year at Iowa. I'll just read. I know offers are just offers, but just so you're aware, these are the official offers that he reported to the recruiting services: Purdue, Iowa, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Alabama, Indiana, Clemson, Kansas, Virginia, Stanford, Vatech, Butler, Providence, UConn, Villanova, Xavier. So had a lot of really good offers.
Many programs missing.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and then Ethan Harris is the other kid. He comes in, obviously he's going to be a true freshman. borderline top 100. He had opportunities. Washington, Gonzaga offered him. Oregon State, Boise State.
Gonzaga's a pretty good evaluator talent.
Some really good Mountain West schools. He's from out there. He is from Washington State. So, yeah, Mark Few knows what he's doing, I'd say. According to Kevin, Thompson had mono and lost 20 pounds.
Well, there you go.
Maybe
that was just enough to give him a year.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, they're going to need help. It's going to be in the portal. It's going to be the high school level. Ben wants to do most of his damage in the portal. All right, let's go to our final caller of the day. Thank you for calling Iowa Post Game with Coach Gary Close. Who's on the line? Hello, you're on the air.
Hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Hey, how about now?
Yeah, we got
Can you hear me?
Hey, Tony.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, just getting ready for work. What a beautiful day, man. It's 66 degrees. It was sunny. I mean, what could we really complain about?
I'm
just kidding.
That's a rhetorical question, but hey, it's still a great time of year, and both the men and the women still have postseason life. So there's lots to be
meaningful
positive about.
basketball in March for both teams.
Correct. Absolutely.
The only reason that I said, and I mean, I didn't know when I'm on hold, I can't really hear what's being said. I know that the last time I called in, I said I didn't think Iowa was exactly a lock. And after watching these two games with losses, they are, just by seeing the eye test. The only reason why I was reserved about that is we don't know how many bid stealers there's going to be from the smaller conferences. But what was it you said earlier in the show? I remember when I was listening a little bit. Those bubble teams went 0-9 yesterday or something dumb like that.
Yeah, I saw that stat from some college basketball account on Twitter overnight. I think 9 of the 14 teams or something like that went. They were considered on the bubble, all lost yesterday.
Yeah, and they were all losses, not even close to the caliber of Michigan at home and Nebraska.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, and if they lose to Oregon or Maryland, which is possible. How much is that one loss going to hurt them? So no, they're in. And frankly, Tony, I want them to win so they have momentum and they have a win behind them. But losing does not hurt my feelings at all as far as seeding. It actually probably helps them in seeding. I don't want them to get back to 8 or 9. I want them to stay. I don't want them to go to Dayton.
I don't think they're even a 10. I really think they're locked into that 8 and 9 unless they win 2 games.
If they
don't
lose,
think
if
they
they
fall
lose
below
to
9.
Maryland or Oregon, you think they're still locked as a 10?
Still an 8 or 9.
As a
I don't
9?
think they're even down to a 10. It's just that like you said, that stat, those teams went 0-9.
Yeah, the problem is
And
they're going to have to play a Duke. That's the problem, you know.
They're going to have to play Duke and wherever. They're going to play Duke in Greenville, or they're going to have to play, Arizona and San Diego.
I mean, play Duke in Greenville. That sounds fair. Hey,
yeah,
we played Duke in Charlotte.
That's just as good, right?
One of the a group of those guys that do the bracketology, they went together and did a exercise this weekend where they picked the field.
Yeah,
and they did actually have Iowa as a 9 seed in Greenville against Duke.
Yep.
The interesting thing was their first round opponent was TCU.
Why is that interesting? Because of Brock?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, that just that's just how it landed. But no, I about the game today. I know you touched on it, and I don't know how much more you touched on it. But I really think in overtime, when they let that kid shoot that wide open 3, that gave him the confidence to hit the second 3. I mean, he was 34% on the year. He's only took like 33 pointers the whole year. But I mean, he was like 12 of 34.
Well,
so it wasn't like he was a horrible shooter, but it was almost like the way they defended that. It reminded me of when Iowa women played South Carolina, and they just we're just going to let you shoot. Like, that's how Banks was like, oh, nope, I'm not even going to go out on him. And you can't do that, like you said, on any competent Division I player.
Especially in the corners.
What?
Giving up wide open corner threes. That's a cardinal.
And I think that was that a tie game at that point?
Yeah, I believe so. It was 73-70 when he made the first 3.
So, I mean, you go out and contest that just a little bit, and he misses it. I think that changes the complexion of the whole game. I really think right when I saw that, I was like, man, what are you doing right there? So you got to at least contest it.
One more comment for me. Tony, on the whole seeding thing. I believe that if they lose, I'm not a bracketologist, but I believe if they lose, there's a chance they slip to the 10 line. And so I'm not rooting for them to lose. How much would they need to win to get to 7? Would they need to win the conference tournament?
2 games. Nope, 2 games.
They're not going up. Where do you get that? That's this from a bracketologist that you listen to? You're saying beating Maryland/Oregon and then beating the 8th seed? That's not going to climb them 2 spots. To
Ohio State. Ohio State's currently on the 8 line. And if we go 2-0 against Ohio State, and what happens is that the committee has pretty much stopped doing things by about Thursday afternoon. That last Thursday game in the 8-9 game, like between Iowa and Ohio State in the Big Ten tournament,
but
could do a lot for both teams.
Tony, excuse me, I'm calling you.
It's all right. No, Tony, you're fine. No, you're fine.
They're projected as a 9 right now. You're saying
Correct.
You think them beating an average Maryland and Maryland or Oregon
Not
team.
average, horrendous.
Okay, thank you. And then beating a good Ohio State team. That's not going to move them up from 9 to 7.
The thing is that with the bubble and with what's going on there, a lot of these bubble teams are going to beat each other.
Sure.
So not all the bubble teams can stay in the same spot. I'm just saying with a few right results and winning those 2 games, and then even being competitive, I guess that's the second thing I need to throw in. Being competitive against Michigan in that 3rd game, that could get you to that.
I think there's here's what I'll say. I think there's a much better chance they slip to a 10 with a loss than they move to a 7 with 2 wins. I think they probably got to win 3. I think they got to win 3 games because that would include a win against Michigan and a win against Ohio State. And that's going to be hard to do, but that would get them to 7, I think.
That's probably fair and accurate with what you're saying. It's more likely they get to a 10. But with me, I'd rather not sweat it out. I'd rather just be in as an 8 or 9 and worry about the rest. I understand that sacrificing getting to the 2nd weekend, but I think us as fans, we have to realize at the beginning of the year, our goal was just make the tournament.
I know.
I want to advance just as far as you do, but I'd rather not sweat out a week from today and get an 8-9.
We don't want you sweating.
We do not want you sweating, especially into
I get it.
We don't, especially into the phone.
I get it.
Tony?
Well, I've got to hit this time clock and go watch people flip over cards.
Go watch people lose their money.
Are you going to do something probably after the game? I'm assuming on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'm going to look to try to get a bracketology show going too. So stay tuned on that. But yeah, we'll have post-game. I'll have post-game coverage. I don't know what it's going to look like. Full disclosure, I do have credentials to the Big Ten tournament. I had applied when I thought Iowa was going to play on Thursday, so I hate that. The fact that they play at 11 a.m. Wednesday. I really
get your butt there.
Yeah, get my butt there. It's like a 4.5 hour drive to Chicago. So we'll see what happens. That's really not ideal, but go ahead.
The only nice thing, and then I gotta hang up, is that we are the game that we're playing the winner of. They play at 4:00 the night before, and then they turn around and play us at 11 a.m. That is a super quick turnaround. Hey, you gotta find positive.
And their hotel is 20 minutes farther from the.
Yeah.
I got to find a positive. So, hey, you guys have a good night.
There you go.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate your call, sir. All right, let's wrap this thing up. This was fun. Folks, be sure you check out Big Grove Brewery, the official craft brewery of the Hawkeyes, and watch some March Madness over there. They're the official watch party headquarters of the Hawkeyes, and they got games out the wazoo this time of year. NBA, college basketball, women's college basketball, all of it's great. Big Grove Brewery, the official craft brewery of the Hawks. Visit biggrove.com to check out their locations and their menu. And, of course, Brad Van Meter and his team at State Farm. Give him a call first thing Monday morning or check out his website, bradvanmeter.com. He's located on Fleur Drive in Des Moines for home, life. Auto insurance rates are great. He'll just help you get great coverage. They'll take care of you. They love the Hawks. There's just so many reasons to call. 515-256-6480. 515-256-6480. Brad Van Meter at State Farm in Des Moines. All right, Gary. I wish we had a different result, but there's positives here, and this doesn't.
A lot of positives.
It doesn't hurt them in the red. They got to flush this fast, and they got to work on the turnovers. And Tavion's got to figure out whatever he's got to figure out. Hopefully, that's taken care of. And there are things to learn from this. But the fact that they had so many things that were kind of egregious, the turnovers and, lack of discipline on 3-point attempts, and yet they still took this team to overtime on senior day is impressive. I mean, you got to do that. So, Gary, thanks for being here, and we'll plan on talking to you during.
All right. Sounds good, Corey. Take care.
All right, folks. For Coach Gary Close, I'm Corey Brada from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Keegan Jensen, Iowa wrestling coverage. The Big Ten Championships just wrapped up. He'll be hitting the airwaves here in just moments. So tune in. Keep it locked right here to From the Hawkeye of the Storm. Click on that stream. In fact, before I log off, I'll do this kind of on the fly. I'll go ahead and throw up the link so people can follow that if they're so willing. I'll throw it up in the live chat for anybody who wants to interact and support the show with Keegan. So it's up in the live chat now. Join Keegan, and we will talk to you soon.